Hey, it's your girl Constance Carter, and I am here on the Fly Nubian Money. We have such an amazing topic today, you guys. It's something that is so close to my heart. I'm excited to talk to you, and I have two of the most brilliant minds with me here today. But before we get started, I want to welcome you to the Fly Nubian Money. I want to welcome you to the Fly Nubian Queen. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Make sure that you subscribe to the Fly Nubian Queen everywhere we are. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and beyond. I want to introduce to you all of these beautiful ladies that we have here today. We have Miss Athena Gardner. She is a CPA and a wealth coach. Yes. And what's up, Lala? Miss International Real Estate Agent. We got some really exciting information. We're going to talk about the state of Black economics today, the challenges in black communities and what we're facing today. And this is a real important conversation because there was an article in 2017 that said in the year 2053, the Black median wealth was going to be a zero. It's going to be a zero. And it looks like we may be headed that way. I did a TED Talk a couple of years ago. It's called Google That Shit. And I don't know if you've seen it. It's a great TED Talk. It's had over 430,000 views. But I talk about ways that we can close the wealth gap. And I have some ideas myself. But there's so many reasons and so many ways that we are behind. And when we look at economics, everything that's good, we're on the bottom. And everything that's bad, we're on the top. And we have to figure out how we've gotten here, how we can get better, and really how we can really close the wealth gap. But we didn't get here by ourselves. And so I want to talk to these ladies about this today. So I'm going to ask you, Athena, what do you think about the economic challenges Black communities are facing today?
I mean, there's so many aspects of that we face. So I wanted to turn to a report from the McKinsey Global Institute. So for those of you who do not know what McKinsey is, they are a management and consulting firm. So they often do these research and insights to provide for their companies and also to provide insight to their partners as well. And in a 2021 report, they did the economic state of Black America report and what it is and what it could be. And according to that report, Constance, we are right in line to be at a zero net worth by that 2030 date. On average, Black workers make $10,000 less than white counterparts. That's a 30% difference. The median household income is less than $50,000 compared to $78,000 with whites. And I know we've had a lot of conversation, especially to the level up and manosphere community about high value this and high value that and that 100K. But that always confused me because only 6% of Black adults make 100K or more.
I need you to say that one more time.
Only 6% of Black adults make 100K or more. So we are having conversations around things that don't even really apply to us. So instead of arguing and bickering and having that infighting over BS relationships and nonsense, we should be trying to figure out how to increase that percentage.
Woo! So you having conversations? Didn't your mama tell you to stay out of grown folks' business? Don't talk about things that don't apply to you. And people is on the internet talking about things that they don't take me to Cheesecake Factory. Don't take me to Cheesecake Factory because I'm worth this. And you ain't even got 2 nickels in your bank account. So let's get your money up before we try to talk about how I need a man to make 6 figures or 7 figures or 8 figures. That's a fantasy. That's very unfortunate. What do you think, Lala, about the state of not only the state of our financial situation, but the mentality behind it of how we think as Black people?
I think we have a combination of stuff. And it's sad, but it is true. Most people don't open their minds up in our community to things because they are already thinking they're beat down before they even try. So many don't want to start trying and thinking outside the box. And that's something that we all have to overcome and we have to encourage one another about. We also have this mentality of just what you said. I want everything without the work. You have to put in the work, even if that is to pick up a book and educate yourself. You may not get the same things that we got when we were in school. When I was coming up, we had home economics. We had all sorts of things that were outside of the home. And those things were slowly taken out of the schools. And now you don't even have anything where you can learn how to run your household, how to budget, how to just have life skills. And so many of this new generation who are coming up now don't even know what a checkbook is or how to balance a bank account if they have a bank account.
That part.
A lot of them don't have bank accounts. They put that money in that pillow and then they wonder why they can't turn that into better gold. You might get little bitty nuggets when you invest in something, but sooner or later, those nuggets start to really grow. Mm-hmm. So we have to break out of the mentality and break out of the stereotype of, I need a man, or I want this man to take me to baby, I wish my husband would take me to cheesecake, and he does. And I'm happy with that. And I was happy when we first started dating to have a split McDonald's meal when we didn't have much of nothing. 50-50, baby. And I'm okay with that. And this weekend's our 31-year anniversary. I'm keeping him. I don't care about that. And I don't care about how much the ring is, because if you focus on the ring, you're not focused on the right thing. These are the things that we have to get out of our mindset with.
Lala, we have $1.3 trillion in spending power. So if Black people were a country, well, we'd be the sixth. I heard one time we'd be the sixth largest country. Then I heard one time we'd be the 15th largest country. Nevertheless, we have the economics within to be a whole country, a competitive country, but yet we have the spending power, but we don't have the wealth. Why is that?
Because like I said, it goes back to a hoarding mentality. Yes, I'm going to go all the way back to the slavery days, because our mental has been pushed back from that. It's whatever you have, you keep to yourself. You don't tell all your business. You only allow people to know certain things. Now, when I grew up, we didn't talk about money in our household. And a lot of households say, well, go on in this household, stay in this household. We're not going to talk about it. And then they see, well, I got to keep up with the Joneses. Well, she's wearing red bottom shoes, so I need to wear my red bottom shoes. Our priorities are not in the place. Yes, what we need is to understand that we are extremely powerful when it comes to our finances. Even if you don't have a lot, even if you're in that 50,000 and under bracket, your money is still powerful because you're worried about spending it on things you might not necessarily need, instead of putting it toward the things that will help you to grow. We are extremely powerful. If we could just wave a magic wand to let our people understand just how powerful they are. But this is why we do this here, to let you know that you have these options, and to get out of listening to what's going on with the Beverly Hills housewives and who's doing this and who's twerking there and who's doing this. Get on your money.
Get your money up, people. And you know what? You are so right, Lala. And listen, this is a dialogue. This is not a monologue. We are not here to just talk amongst ourselves. We are here to engage with you as well. So, as we talk and we dialogue, we want to know, because we're going to actually engage with you. What do you think about the state of the Black community? What are we doing? We have all this spending power, $1.3 trillion in spending power, but we don't have the same wealth. What are we doing, and what can we do? Because we're trying to be solution oriented. We don't want to just talk about the problems, but what is the solution? So what do you think is our issues? How can we better ourselves? So put your comments in the chat. I see Danette said, look at all the money the Black people raised in a matter of hours for VP Kamala Harris. That's right. We was able to come together on that. So
and quick, 24 hours.
24 hours. How many of you guys got the text on Sunday that say, hey, we about to jump on this call? I got about 10 text messages from 10 different people saying, get on this call, Black women for Kamala, and everybody, they galvanized. I got on there. It was 1,000 people. Couldn't get on there. And then I got on later, and it was over 40,000 Black women on there united. Now they had men, they had the gays, they had white women, and just yesterday they had white men that raised $1 million. So it's been crazy. But as you can see, like Danette said, when we have a purpose, we do it. We have a purpose, Black people. We really do. Our purpose is us. So what do you think, Athena, about the fact that we have this spending power, and where is it going, and why don't we keep the wealth? What's the mentality? What's the mindset of our people, and why aren't we there?
I think we have to look at the core behind the behavior, because the behavior is When we make money, we give it away to other groups. That is the behavior. Why is that? Well, there's this, the societal and systemic structure where most of the businesses and services are provided by other groups. We have a tendency not to support our own. So that's another piece of the behavior. But it goes back to something that you mentioned before, Constance, which is the mindset. We do not value ourselves, and therefore we do not value our own. We have been indoctrinated by society, but by our own people as well, that other is better than what we can do. Even though other people are imitating us, they're selling ourselves back to us, but we don't want to buy ourselves from ourselves. We want to buy it from them.
You know what that reminds me? In Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the 1919, when Black Wall Street was formed, and they had over 600 businesses, and the dollar circulated in the community a year before it left. You don't see any other community where the dollar stays in that community a year, right? So when they bombed Black Wall Street, they burned it down, they rebuilt Black Wall Street. So now they have 300 businesses. And then it went away again. It was destroyed again. Do you know what it was destroyed by? Can you guess? Integration. So when we didn't have to do business with one another, we stopped. Because now all of a sudden their food is better than ours. That's what that reminded me of what you said, Athena. Now all of a sudden their clothes are better than ours. Their movie theaters are better than ours. And I remember seeing that one guy who went, and when he finally was able to eat at the white counter, he said, "You mean to tell me I risked my life for this shit?" He didn't say it like that, but basically, I came over here and risked my life to eat this shit because we thought that their food was better, and so therefore we stopped spending with one another, and that is the core of why we are in the state that we are, but we did not get here by ourselves. Now, 80% of wealth is generated through real estate. We have not been able to take advantage of wealth building opportunities in the past because of redlining, because of predatory lending, because they purposely kept us out of the wealth building process. I'm so happy, Black people, that we are resilient anyway. 70-something% of our white counterparts are homeowners. 44% of us are. So even though we're not there with all the roadblocks that they put in our place, we still are homeowners. So give yourselves a hand. So we're not the worst, right? We're on the bottom in terms of home ownership, but we're resilient regardless. So let me ask you, Lala, what do you think that we need to do in order to galvanize ourselves to be able to create wealth through real estate?
Educate yourself. Ever since I got into real estate in 2006, I taught and still teach first-time home ownership classes. And let me tell you, a lot of those classes, if you take them with a nonprofit organization, they will help you with your down payment. So not only are you getting education, you're getting money to a program. We have to understand that you don't always get what you want the first time around. Here's what I see with first-time homeowner mentality. Oh, well, I don't qualify for a four-bedroom house. I'd have to just buy a condo. Baby, get your condo. Get your condo. Okay. You live in that condo for a few years. You let that equity build up, because as you're paying your mortgage, you're actually paying yourself. And you take that and you launch it into the next property that you want to go in, and then keep that first one and rent that out. So it's a matter of piggybacking. But the main thing that I always say, and I will stand on this every single day, educate yourself, because there is a lot that goes into home ownership. You don't just wake up and go, I'm gonna buy a house today. No, you really need to see, is this for me? Where do I want to live? Where is my budget? Oh my God, my credit. Some people are just so afraid to even look at their credit. Let me tell you, you may be at a 400, but baby, that's your starting point. We can see the goal line. We can see the goal line. We know where we're starting. Now we're going to shoot and we're going to run for that goal line. So never let that discourage you. Never discourage yourself. Educate yourself, because real estate really is power. And they say buy land because they ain't making it no more. That is the truth.
Yeah. You're right about that. I'm so glad you said that. And that was so powerful, Lala, because as a real estate broker, and listen, and I want to talk about the international aspect in a second, because I think that's important for us to understand. But understanding the basics of real estate and how powerful it is. Let me just tell you, when I first got into real estate, it was, everything that I did, I've always just wanted to help people. I used to do IT. I was in IT field, and what helped me to get to over this commute was, okay, I had trained my mind. I'm helping somebody with their internet, their network. So that was a thing. But real estate was really a way for me to be transformational, to really change people's lives. Because when I was 23 or 24, I purchased my first home, and I seen what it did for me, helped other family members. Nobody in my family really owned homes. And I remember that my brother, he's 8 years older than me, he never thought it was possible. He just thought I'm going to be in an apartment for the rest of my life. They didn't even see that far, that the possibilities of them being able to own a home. Now they have all my family has several. I used to have home buyer workshops where people would come in and say that they didn't think that they were worthy. Like something as basic as home ownership. So we first have to get those limitations out of our mind, that this is something that we can't do. That's number one. Let's reset our mind, retrain our mind. Then credit. If your credit's fucked up, so what? Let me say it again. If your credit's fucked up, so what? Hey, if your credit's fucked up, so what? Let's go. If your credit's fucked up, so what? I had a 379 credit score at one time. Okay, I filed bankruptcy, I foreclosed, all of these things. My credit was at the rock bottom. It went from 379 all the way back up to 800. If you have a job or whatever, there's simple things. Within a year after filing bankruptcy, I was almost back up to the 700 club. There's things that you can do in order to shift that. And then you can just, if you're paying rent, you could purchase a home. And then guess what? You could use that house to purchase other house. Like you said, piggyback, leverage, OPM, other people's money. That's what the wealthy do. You just start small with one small thing, and you build and build and build. So it's not a humongous task. Just take it step at a time, one step at a time. But as you come in, I want to thank you for tuning in to Fly Nubian Money, not the Fly Nubian Money, as I was told. It's Fly Nubian Money. I'm your girl, Constance Carter. We have Lala and Athena, and we are talking all things Black economics, Black wealth, because at the end of the day, this is about bettering ourselves. This is about us moving forward. This is about us closing the wealth gap, not only closing it, but exceeding it. Because you know what they did? Because they said we were going to be a zero in 2053, but they didn't fucked around and gave us the internet. So now we got access to listen to people like us. You have the internet. You can go Google that shit, GTS as I like to call it. The information is out there. You just have to be willing to listen. And for all of you guys that are here, you're a mile ahead of the game because you're listening. You're here today. So we want to make sure that you're subscribing to Fly Nubian Queen and subscribe, follow us on all networks. And also, guess what? We on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, listen to us. We come on every day at one, same bat time, same bat channel. And if you want to get any alerts, we need you to text Queens at 87948. One more again. Text Queens, QUEENS, at 87948. I want to go to the comments real quick and then I want to go to some statistics, but I want to see what you all have to say about what we're talking about. So let's go to GM Macbeth. They said they don't respect us because we don't know our ancient history. The Constitution tells us Black is not a nationality. Check the dictionary. Okay, I'm not sure what that has anything to do with it. However, let's go to voting for the symbolism of accessibility to white validation. All right, I want to hear some solutions. Okay, because we could keep talking about the problems over and over again, but I want to hear some solutions. Now, Athena, let me ask you, what do you think is the best approach to getting out of this mess that we're in? Because you already talked about mindset, which is everything. I want to say 90% of what we do is about the things that we put in our mind and how we train our mind. But what are some steps that we could take to get there?
Some solutions I think will be great is just to have that we discussed, the mindset that you're not going to wait on anyone or anything. You're not going to wait for the perfect president. You're not going to wait for the perfect conditions. What can you do now within the condition that you are in, right? To piggyback off what Lala said, right? A lot of single women are hesitant in buying a home by themselves. And I remember when I bought my first home, which I'm living in right now, and I bought it and I told my friends, I have friends who were in their careers, master's degrees, everything. And we had a conversation. I said, oh, you should just go get a place, because she was renting. I wanted to, two different women, by the way. Oh, they always saw themselves getting a home with a husband or with a man. And then I said, you can always just sell it later or rent it out or do something else. Like, that can still happen. But I think that, especially since I'm a wealth coach for women, I think the fear of all that responsibility by yourself, right? That there's an insecurity around that. I'm sure, Lala, you see that all the time. I think we need to be solution oriented. I think that we need to look at what is available to us. And we have a lot available to us. We have the power of the internet. We have the power of AI. I just completed like a 2-day conference. And for those of you who don't know, I have I studied at, I'm certified in AI and business strategy at UPenn. So AI is an area that, girl, I had to learn all the machine learning.
I gotta pick your brain.
Machine learning.
I
and
love
all
AI.
data analytics, and even the biases that the algorithms produce within that. So it's emerging. But I think especially AI is going to be helpful for us, especially when it comes to the business aspect. Because back to that McKinsey report about the state of Black America, only Black businesses on average get 35,000 versus 105,000 capital on average for their businesses. And I
want you to slow down real quick. So businesses, so when we talk about Black businesses versus white businesses, so when Black businesses go after venture capital money, are you talking about venture capitalists? Are you talking about loans, SBA loans? What are we talking here?
I think capital in general.
Okay, so when they go get capital for their businesses, Black people get what?
On average, 35,000.
And white people get what?
105,000. So 3 times as much.
Okay.
So, and that is, and there's a lot of factors that go into that, right? But what it does show is that we don't have as much access to the resource. So I actually talked about this in my presentation for last year at ABNC. I hope a lot of you guys are going. When I did my talk on Are Black People Ready for AI, my premise in that was we can use AI to make up for that gap, because the technology is so advanced. If you come up with a good strategy, and I've laid out a framework for people to use, and I gave them tools to use as well. I laid out a framework that if you were to apply it to your current business or create a new one, then you'll be able to leverage the tools of the systems and tools of AI-powered tools to advance and try to close as much of that resource gap as possible, because those tools on average are more affordable than what we've had in previous years.
Let me jump in real quick, because what you said is so important, and I really need our audience to understand this. They done fucked around and gave us the internet, but they done fucked around and gave us AI. And I don't know if you guys understand how powerful AI is. If you ain't making money now, you can use AI to make money. You can write a book with AI. Actually, one of my latest books, if I had it here, I would show it. One of my latest books, I wrote it with the power of AI. You can create all kind of content and get all kind of informations. And if you want to, whatever you want to do, you can do it with AI. And so utilize the resources that are out there. But let's talk about the stats, because here's the thing, Lala, when we look at Black wealth and we look at Black economics, and when we look at healthcare and we look at housing, and even when we look at credit, all the good things were on the bottom and all the bad things were on the top. So when it talks about unemployment, when we talk about the pay gap, Black people, this is the median annual wage for Black workers is approximately 30% or $10,000 lower than that of white workers. Let that sink in. Black workers make up 12.9% of the U.S. labor force today, but earn only 9.6% of U.S. wages. And there is a $220 billion disparity between Black wages today and what they would be in a scenario full parity. With Black representation matches the Black share of the population across occupations and the elimination of racial pay gaps within occupational categories. This is the McKinsey report. And actually, if you would like us to send you the McKinsey report, we can actually send this to you. But It was done by the McKinsey Institute, the start of Black economics, where we are and where we can be. And this is so extremely important. What are your thoughts on the percentages and where we are? Do you feel like we're doomed? Because when you look at the prison population, we're at the top. When you look at poverty, we're at the top. When you look at education, we're at the bottom. When you look at income, we're at the bottom. We have more education actually than the Hispanics, but they have more household income than us because they're married at higher rates than we are. So what can we do to change the narrative of where we are? What are your thoughts about those stats?
First of all, it is discouraging, but they're only going to give you what they want you to know. They're putting things out to discourage you. One thing that I do know about our community is we are a talented bunch of people. All right. We can either cook, write, sing, dance, advise people. We got all sorts of things that we know that we don't lean into because we're told early on, oh no, you can't do that. Bye. I don't want to hear that. I've written books. Okay. I never thought myself would be to write books. I'm a digital creator. I live stream. I do everything that I can. So even before I got into real estate, I was always doing something on the side, like singing at a nursing home. Yeah. I ain't got to be the next star. I don't care. What I was doing was bringing in extra money with the things that I knew how to do. And the reason other communities do better than us, because I see it myself, is they take the time to help uplift one another. So if there is someone in the Hispanic community or the Indian community or other communities that are out there that want to buy a house, they bring their family with them. Okay. We're all going to live in this house together. We're going to have 2 or 3 families in this house. But then in a year, we're saving all this money for you. And then the next person gets to launch into home ownership. And then they bring people in and they live there a year and then your turn to do it. So these are the things that we need to think about in our community. I tell you all the time, I know people think about, the Black Panther Party, but they were afraid of us because of the power that they had. They fed our children. They educated our children. They cared about the elderly. These are the things that we have to get back to the basics on. It all goes back to mentality. So when you are starting something and you want more, you need to tap into what you already know. I just told you I sang in nursing homes. And when I sang in nursing homes, I sang 30s, 40s, 50 tunes. And they loved it. Okay, because that was something that they could connect to. And it gave me joy as well. So if you want to have a fish fry on Friday at your house, take that money, put that aside. Then guess what? Take Monopoly money, show your children, help them, let them help you with the food. Take your Monopoly money and say, here's your budget for the week. Okay. If you want such and such and such, this is going to cost you. Start with the babies. If you skip that part, they're never going to be able to participate in the generational wealth and understand the mindset of money. When kids have to start thinking, do I really want that lollipop? I do want that Tonka toy. Tonka toy. And they're going to really think about, I can't give you all my money because I want this Tonka toy. So you have to start with the babies. We always talk about Black unity, but Black unity actually is us in our house. Us. We start with us and our families. So that's what you have to do. Ignore these things. If you really want it, you're going to get it. And I don't want to keep hearing people say, raise yourself up by your bootstrap. But guess what? That's what we've always done. And that's what we'll have to continue to do.
No, I love that. Black unity is listen, in 1955, J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest threat to America, what did he say, was Negro unity. Let me tell you this again. Let me quote it for you one more time. In 1955, J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest threat to America was, you see, I got my Malcolm X glasses on, so I'm gonna do my Black power today. The biggest threat to America was Negro unity. And so the formation of the Black Panther Party and all of the Black unity that we had going on, COINTELPRO was birthed out of trying to destroy that, because they know that we are what? A powerful, powerful people. They know that we are a powerful force. And so every time we get an advancement, they do something to try to destroy our community, whether it's crack, whether it's violence, Now it's rap music, in my opinion. It's the things that are infiltrating in our community, the things that are destroying the fabric of our community. But what you said is so important, because now we have more power in the palm of our hands with this phone than they had when they put the man on the moon, y'all. We have more technology at our fingertips than they had in 1950, 60 something when they put the man on the moon. Do you know that you can become a millionaire from your phone by monetizing your genius? Do you know that there are things in your mind that people will pay handsomely for that you don't even know because they come easy to you? Those are the things that we do every day. That's the reason why we on here today, is because we happen to like talking about issues. There are things that you have that people want and they desire. So think about that thing that you do really, really well and start implementing it. And you can create a whole business, or at least a side hustle, where you're getting, extra income, passive income from it. For you, Athena, I think it was in 2019. They said, what percentage of Black people actually have bank accounts? Only 14% of Black people, 14% of Black households didn't have bank accounts. So you being a wealth coach, what does that mean for us? Is it necessary? Should we be hiding our money in the shoebox, under the mattress? Because listen, I'm gonna tell you this, and I don't know more, so I don't know, y'all. I had 6 figures sitting in the safe, right? But I own a dispensary, and so that was my weed money. So I couldn't put my money in the bank, so I would just put it in the safe. But for me, it was kind of doing the same thing in the safe that it was doing in the bank. I wasn't really generating a whole lot of interest on my money. It was just there. But if I kept it there for too long, it might have disintegrated at some point. I don't know. But it's not in my house no more. So y'all, it ain't in my house. But what do you think about 14% of Black people not having their money in the bank?
I think that statistic goes to show the lack of not only financial literacy, because you can learn all these things. What are you implementing, right? What are you implementing? And when I work with someone, or even in my courses, I'm going to educate you, but I always give an action plan for implementation, step by step, because I really want people to implement these things. We live in America. America is under the fiat system. So if you are not playing the game of credit, debt, and investing, you will be get left behind. One of my favorite professors, he's in NYU. His name is Scott Galloway. He just released a book called The Algebra to Wealth, and he's been on this book tour and talking about that, and also the crisis of men, but that's a separate conversation. And he's basically has laid out that if there's an algebra to wealth, there's an equation that if you are not participating in certain activities, you are basically an economic slave. And what happens is, and what I would like for people to understand is, we need to behaviorally, on a social aspect, play the game of wealth, and on a business, money, and investment aspect. What do I mean by that? On the social aspect, having good relationships with people in your community, networking, having good relationships in your relationship, getting married is a wealth accumulation endeavor. But how can we get married if we still fighting over Cheesecake Factory? But I love the jerk chicken and shrimp platter with the strawberry lemonade and the red velvet.
Mad at it. Yes.
Right.
Give me the jambalaya. Come on,
right now. Or the angel hair pasta. But that's the case. So that's the social aspect, us being able to come together as a community. Because even when our dating out, which I'm for whatever anybody want to do, I don't really care. But if you marry outside of your race, you're contributing. What happens most is the wealth goes to the race that is dominant in society. So that's even chipping away at Black wealth. That's a whole nother conversation we can have on another show.
That's a conversation we need to have, though, y'all.
But so that's the social aspect. What is the economic and business aspect, right? The issue, what we're facing now, and what will continue to happen, we have inflation, we'll have economic turbulence, things of that nature. If you are not doing activities that enable income generation for you, you're going to have a problem. So if you don't have investments working for you, if you're not putting your money in REITs, dividend income stocks, all right, I wrote it down, real estate, right? you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have to continue to working. And what's happening to those wages aren't increasing at the same rate of inflation. But what does increase? Real estate. What does increase, right? Your contributions to the stock market, because that's increasing overall. So if you are not playing retirement, right? So even the retirement system is kind of rigged, because the people who are benefited are people from the generations older behind you that were able to put money away, like Social Security and things like that, right? I don't know what Social Security is going to look like when I get to a certain age, right? But everything is kind of geared to benefit those who can participate in those activities, which are older people, which are white people, right? We are leaving ourselves out of that conversation, out of that practice, and we are going to be economic wage slaves if we do not. The slavery has not changed. It's just re-engineered itself. It just remarketed, right? We're going to experience that, and always going to have to keep working, and always going to, and then even with the whole work thing, AI. I just came from a conference. I forgot what the name of the technology is. Oh, they already have 100% fully automated AI employees.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Like, people have a whole resume. You can hire this AI person to do your sales calls, to do work for your company, and you negotiate the salary with that company. Right?
Do you know how many thousands of dollars we're already saving just by virtue of AI? It's crazy. And if you don't know AI, then AI gonna know you. If you don't know how to work it, it's gonna work you, and you're gonna work yourself out of a job.
Yes. So AI is a double-edged sword. And even in my presentation that I did in A, B, and C, I was like, you have to decide which side of the equation you want to be on. Do you want to be on the side where you're going to be obsolete and have to worry about your job and job security and income security with AI? Or do you want to be on the side of the owner that is hiring the AI to do the work that you need to do to bring the money for you?
Yeah.
So you need to pick which side you want to be on.
You're right about that. And when you talk about because listen, this is a wealth coach right here, y'all. She is a CPA. She knows money. So she knows what you need to do with money. And one of the things I think a lot of people are mistrusting about the banking system, when we talk about only, 14% of black households not having bank accounts. And, that's significant. But also you got to think about, what do banks do with your money when you put it in there? They take your money, they invest your money, and they're making money. They're making interest, compounded interest on your money, and they're giving you 0.023% back, right? So you think about that. Einstein said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who know about it benefit from it. They earn money from it. Those who don't, they pay it. Your credit card bills. So there are vehicles, and Athena just mentioned a few, that you can put your money in that'll generate some compounded interest where you can get a greater return on your investment. And these are things that Black people really need to look into, and not just having banks. But I want to shift the conversation, and I want to talk about deserts. There's so many types of deserts, especially within our community. Black Americans are more likely than white Americans to live in consumer deserts. That's your food deserts, that's your housing deserts, broadband, healthcare, consumer goods, food, health care, and housing, food, healthcare, and broadband. So think about this. And so I attribute it back to racism and white flight. So think about this. Back in the Industrial Revolution, when Black people started to move into cities, they started moving from rural areas up to like Chicago and things like that. You had white flight. And when you had white flight, all of the white economics left with it, but that was on purpose. So you had these cities with all these white people, and it was bustling. As soon as the Black people moved in, white people moved out. White businesses moved out. The local white government start taking the money out of the economy, because now they don't really care to serve Black. It's a mental game, y'all. We are in mental warfare with the powers that be. So what do they put in our neighborhoods? They take out our grocery stores. They put in liquor stores. They put in check cashing places. They put in Church's Chicken. They put in all of these things that are unhealthy for us, because if our minds ain't right, our bodies ain't gonna be right, and then the rest will follow. So you think about those kids who get up to walk to school every morning. They go over there to the liquor store. They get them some Cheetos, some hot Cheetos, and orange soda, and that's their breakfast. how are they then going to think when they're in school? Then you wonder why these kids is hyper and they got ADHD and all the things that affect us mentally, then affect us physically, and then they affect us entirely in our communities. It's by design, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, but I do believe it's by design. What are your thoughts around the desert? Let's talk about the food deserts. Let's talk about all the deserts. The broadband, they don't have access. We don't have access to information like everybody else. Lala, what do you think?
The thing with that is they do that on purpose. We know that. We know that when we talked about redlining, anything that has to try to keep us in certain areas. But we also can still continue to work very hard to provide these resources with one another. And the easy thing to do, and I know that a lot of people don't want to hear this, but it is true. Most of the times, if you don't have that in your household, libraries are still required to have those. Your library might be leaking in your neighborhood, but it's got an internet. So you need to take the time to get out of your household and stop saying, well, I don't have it, I don't keep have. Well, then you can go to places that offer it. Let me tell you something, one of my favorite things I used to do, and I still do a lot, although I don't buy their coffee no more for many, many reasons. But early in the days, when I couldn't get around and the internet was just not as viable, because I lived in a rural area at one point and there wasn't much internet, but there was a Starbucks, because Starbucks is always on the corner. And in LA, baby, they right across from each other. Oh, you can't get us this way? Well, all right, we'll put one here. All right, you go there and you use their internet and you sit there for as long as you need to get you a cappuccino or whatever you want, and you start researching the things that you need, start creating the things that you need, start building the education that you need. It's not impossible. The only thing is you have to get out of your own way. So there are ways. Now, they do this on purpose, but if you really, really want something, you're really gonna go after it.
Okay. Let's stay on that real quick, because I want to engage on that part. Because if you don't know, you don't know. So how do they know to get it? Like, where do they get the information? How can they? If all I know is Church's Chicken and Popeyes and a check cashing store, how do I know that there's Whole Foods and Trader Joe's and like there's better alternatives? What do we do? How do we? What are we supposed to do if this is all we know?
Baby, let me tell you something. If you do know that there are better foods in different areas, I can tell you right now, your food is not the best in your neighborhoods. And that there is a Whole Foods, a magical thing called Trader Joe's that I've never been to. Baby, if you have to have a carpool party where y'all get up out of your neighborhoods and go get the things that you need, then do that. There are things as farmers markets. People don't like to discuss, like, there are still farmers, people growing their food. How about you also learn to grow some food for yourselves? It's not that hard. It really is.
University.
YouTube, Google that shit. And the thing about it is, like, there are certain cities that give grants. If you decide to grow your own garden or your own farm, they will give you grants to grow your own garden and your own farm in these cities.
But that's what I don't want you to get discouraged about, because you hear things like grant, oh, they'll never give. No, baby, they're looking for people. We got this money. Who we gonna give it to? You've got to get out of the mentality of I can't, they won't give me. And if someone says no, you just go to the next person. No is not the end all be all, and no is not the end to your life. If you want better, you will strive to be better. So get your carpool together. Give Ray $5. 5 of y'all get together and get $5 in Ray's car, and you go to Whole Foods and you get what you need from there that's important for your body, so that your mind can be fed and your body is in check. Then you can have a whole nother mentality. Because let's face it, when you're eating the fatty foods, when you're eating the junk, when you're surrounding yourself about negativity and you're depressed about where you are, you're going to have to fight through that. But you can't do that when you have all this cramming in. Hey, I want to see better. You know what I used to do? I grew up in the country. And I loved the country. But then I thought to myself, I want to live in the city because I live in the country. I'm an old country girl. Now I got grown and I thought to myself, hell, I'm moving back to the country, because the country taught me to live
in the fresh air, the good food, those things. You can also have this in your backyard by creating little oases. Okay, you live in an apartment, you got a little patio, don't you? Get you a little oasis to get your mind out of what you don't want onto the things that you want.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, and all of that. I'm so glad that all of you guys are responding and you guys are giving us some amazing feedback. But I just want to point out, Danette, you are killing. You on fire today, girl. She said those of us who know can share information with each other. When I tell you that is paramount, because the people that you are around the most, tell me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you who you are. Your network is your net worth. So the people that you're around, it's so important that we share information. And that's the reason why I love Black women, because there's an African proverb that says, when you teach a man, you teach an individual. And this is nothing to diss men, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. A woman is going to take the information, she's going to give it to her community, she's going to share it with her kids. And then we start to have mindset shifts. So to your point, the information that you get here or that you get anywhere, share it with your community. They need to know there's alternatives out there. Your kids ain't got to be eating hot Cheetos and soda on the way to school, because it messes up their mind. And I don't know that they really understand the brevity of what it is that's going on, and the social annihilation that's going on from the powers that be. Look at this beautiful Black girl. She probably getting better grades than everybody else. But here's the thing. They spend $32 billion more on white schools than they do on Black schools. And you see that in the outcome of the grades and the testing and all of and even, the post high school education. You see that. They spend more money on white schools than they do on Black schools. And the test score shows. It doesn't mean that they're smarter. It means they have access to more resources. But it all starts with, we have to change the narrative of our community. But when we talk about, let's go back to food deserts, Athena, what are some things that we can change about, what change the narrative in our communities where we have these deserts? We don't have access to information the way that everybody else does. We don't have access to the groceries. We don't have access to the education. What do we do?
I'm glad that you asked me that question. It's so interesting because I made a friend this week and she actually lives on a farm. So 2 weeks from now, I'm actually going to go visit her and her farm and feed the horses and stuff like that. So it was nice to do that. I believe that when there's a will, there's a way, right? When there's a will, there's a way. And part of the reason we have so much liquor stores and cash checking stores and all these other things is because the dominant society has realized it is profitable to have those things, and it's good to profit off of our dysfunction, right? If you're in a depressed economic wage slave state, you're going to reach for the alcohol, you're going to reach for the fried chicken, you're going to reach for things that give you that dopamine hit in your brain because it is comforting to you, right? And that is the comfort you can afford, because God knows therapy costs more. So, that is the comfort. So I want to put that in the perspective of, we're not only reaching for these things because we're Black and, we're poor and this like that. There's systemic reasons and there's emotional and psychological reasons to why we do. But I believe if you have a will to do something, you will do it. This year, I decided that I'm going to de-scam myself because I'm living in Scamerica. So the best things I can do I need to trademark that one too, Constance.
Athena isms, I swear. Go ahead, girl.
Okay, I'm living in Scamerica. Everywhere I look up, there's a scam left, right, and center. And I realized, I was like, why am I keep buying the same scallion lettuce, same thing where I can grow this shit right on my patio? So what I did was, outside of YouTube University, I paid for a masterclass subscription. That was, I forgot how, it was like, I got it for like 50% off. I thought it was a sale. I was like, I'm going to invest, instead of spending all this time on YouTube, listen to all this drama that ain't got nothing to do with me. Let me take that same time watching some masterclass videos and learn from the world's best and brightest. And Ron Finley, who was a Black man who revolutionized gardening in his urban area. I forgot which city it was, but it's a very urban city. He broke down how to easily grow anything from anywhere. And I'm paying less than $5 a month for that prescription. So what that shows is that I decided that it was important for me to learn how to grow my own food. So I made a choice to figure out can I see someone? Is there a neighbor that grows food? Is there a YouTube video I can watch? Is there a masterclass subscription I can watch? We need to get out of the mindset that we have to wait on people to move, right? I was out this week with some friends and we were discussing about all the fun stuff that I do. And that most of the time I go alone. I just went to Missy Elliott concert alone. And they said, why did you do that? Because I was like, you know what? I've learned in life, if I wait on people, I ain't going to do nothing. I've traveled the world. I've started a business. Certain things I'm working right now, I don't wait for anyone's applause, participation, anything, because I have learned that if I'm waiting on that, it won't happen. So as a group, Black people need to not wait on anyone, and we need to de-scam ourselves because we live in Scamerica, the word of the day, and we need to figure out what is important for us, and we need to move that along.
Brought to you by the word of the day, Scamerica, by Athena Gardner. Everybody put in the chat box, Scamerica. See, this is why I love talking to you ladies, because this is an important dialogue, but it doesn't have to be boring. It doesn't have to be intense. This is something that we can just engage in. And these are conversations that I think that we need to take from here, take to the kitchen table, take to our friends, and see what we can do to improve our conditions, because united we stand for real and divided we fall. We have to stop modeling this rugged, Eurocentric, capitalistic way of thinking where it's all about rugged individualism. Listen, that African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. We can only get there together. We can only go far if we go together. And Black people, we need, y'all, you remember that song by Hezekiah Walker? I pray for you. You pray. I need you to survive. We need each other to survive. And so in order for us to make it and go far, let's stop doing stuff. Wait, you said let's stop looking at stuff that ain't paying. Is that what you said, Athena?
Listen, why are we still looking at these ghetto YouTube channels of people on 4 or 5 hour lives talking about what they're not going to pay for when only 6% of us make $100K or more?
Ooh, you just stepping on toes right now.
My eyelids was peeled all the way back because I was just like,
so y'all over there talking, y'all over here wearing, well, maybe they're fake. You know what? Let me. Here's a thought though, really quick. And as I digress, and I'm sorry, y'all, but my girlfriend has this really successful salon, right? And all the weaves are starting at $1,000. I remember I was like, oh, I want a weave, right? And she said, well, you my girl, I'm gonna give you the base price. I'm not even gonna charge you for my services. I was like, bet. I get over there, and I don't know if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? Because I know I'm froze.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I get over there and the base price was $600. And I'm like, $600? So I'm thinking, so everybody else is paying over $1,000. Is everybody a CEO? Like, how?
No, they weave plan on Afterpay and Klarna.
They have to, because if only 6% of Americans are making six figures, all these women and the shops they book, how does everybody have $1,000 weave?
But Constance, why are you paying for a weave when don't your daughter have In Here We Trust?
Yeah, no, this was years ago. Ago. But thank you for saying that. My daughter does have a hair business. Shout out to In Here We Trust. If you're looking for weaves, please support my daughter, because she is a struggling entrepreneur, but she is working her little ass off. But I'm gonna go ahead and go off. I want you, Thina, one of you guys just take over, because I just need to just get off from here real quick because I'm frozen. But I just want you to kind of continue the conversation. Give me about 30 seconds.
Okay. So I wanted to actually pivot back to one of the comments in the chat. I think it was at an hour 50 National Garden Bureau grants for therapeutic garden programs to bring healing to those affected by trauma. So as we were talking about food, as we were talking about, being able to grow, I don't even know how this person even found out about this, but you have the power of the internet and AI in your phone. So especially if you are a viewer watching us, you're watching us from somewhere. What I want you to do, and what I encourage all of us to do, is to really focus in on what is important to us. I know we're facing elections. I know we're facing all kind of nonsense in these internet streets and in the world at large. And it's trying to suck your energy and drain you from focusing on the things that matter, which is your food, shelter, and your money. Those are the three things that matter most importantly, besides whoever is sitting on any seat in America, in Scamerica. You need to figure out what are the things you need to do to advance yourself. Even if, and I'm actually in the current process of writing my first book, but even in the midst of that process, I'm like, okay, you can share your thoughts, you can contribute to society, you can share your own genius, but also that is a great wealth building tool, because then you can collect royalties on that forever. Your children, your heirs can get royalties from that. You can use that information to pivot and speak at events and consult and things like that. So really dive into what's going to save Black America is Black people tapping into their own creative genius, their own divine intelligence, giving that value to the world and charging a fee for it. Because what money is, I heard this from someone else. I forgot who said it, but it never left me. She said, money is a certificate of appreciation you receive for providing someone something of value. It is a certificate of appreciation. This is this person appreciating you now by giving you this $1.
I love that.
So share your value so you can get certificates of appreciation.
I love it. Monetize your genius. And I'm so glad that you brought up the grant aspect. You know, me being in Washington, D.C. area, it's crazy because I'm surrounded by, you know, I'm in these important rooms all the time, which is so cool. But this important room that I was at, you know, some months ago was the beauty salon. And the lady that was sitting right next to me, she worked for the Federal Reserve, Secretary of State. And she was like, you know what, listen, I just pushed a button and I gave some bunch of banks $6 billion or 600 billion, some crazy amount. And she said, and these are grants that these people are getting, and Black people don't get them. They're disproportionately sent out to everybody else except for Black people. And I want Black people to start being able to get it. And if they don't use these grants, they lose them. So going back to what people said is, Lala said, people are always thinking, oh, it's so hard when I think about getting grants and things like that. It's really not. Google is your best friend. You can go out there and get grants and be surprised that you might get a $5,000 grant or a $50,000 grant just by way of applying. So that time that you mind the business that ain't yours, that Athena talked about, when you sitting scrolling and watching World Star and shit, you could be applying for grants. You could be educated on how to apply for grants, because there's YouTubes out there about that as well. There's so much opportunity and information that it's there, but we just lack it, because if you don't know, you don't know. But listen, I'm here to tell you. So, did we use all the data on did we get all the stats out? Because I want to make sure you understand that we are in a position where there is a lot of dire information out for our people. Black workers are disproportionately represented in low wage occupations and underrepresented in higher wage occupations. Nearly half of all Black workers are concentrated in healthcare, retail, accommodation, and food service. Really? Wow. Most Black workers in those industries are in lower paying service roles rather than the professional or managerial roles. This type of pattern produces the wage gap. The median wage for all U.S. workers is around $42,000 per year, but 43% of Black workers earn less than $30,000 per year. And this is where we have to stop asking and start doing for ourselves. Lala, I want you to give us, your final words. What are your thoughts on the state of Black America? Because, we know that it's dire, but we also know that there's hope, because we are bold and resilient.
And that is what I want to say. They throw out these stats like this is the end of our world. It is not. We have so many resources. We are bright and brilliant, and we are talented, and we know how to get what we want. We just have to move out of our own way. And if you find that you're not even feeling your community, it's not impossible for you to get out of that community. You just need to tap into your own resources and your own power. We hear rags to riches stories all the time. That can be you. It doesn't have to be a fairy tale. As long as you focus and you also agree in your mind and your heart that once you get yours, you're going to also turn around and help someone else to get theirs. We have got to get out of the mentality where it's always me, and be able to help someone else. And to realize not everybody needs to go with you sometimes. You need to pick the ones who really want to take that journey. So you can find all sorts of resources that I have: home ownership, books, education, credit repair, all on my website, which is bit.ly/Laura Key Info. And I hope to see you there, and I'll put that in the chat.
Real quick, Lala. You sell homes internationally, and I definitely wanted to let people know if they wanted to get out of the U.S. with the state of what's going on with the economy and what's going on politically. If they wanted to go somewhere else, where's the best place for us to go to, and why?
There are many. There's a lot of places in Africa that are looking for you to come home. Did you hear what I said? They are looking for you to come home. Ghana is one of them. Also Portugal. Portugal is very easy. That's one of your gateway countries that you can go to because they offer the most with their visas. And let me tell you something, you could be a digital creator and still come over here. If you are in retirement phase and you find that your money still ain't working for you over in America and it's draining you more, you can come over on a retirement visa. So once again, you can get out of your mentality of being in America and see yourself as what I call a world citizen. Yes, you can buy in other countries. Yes, you can live in other countries. Having an EU country where you live in opens up the whole world there. So get out of your own head. You don't have to stay in America. You don't have to stay where people don't like you. You can experience the world and live your life journey to the fullest.
I love that. I like that, Lala, because once again, we focusing on passports to go trick off and make yourself feel important with passport, bro, exchange rate versus trying to get wealth elsewhere and financially secure yourself.
That's right. No, that's real. And that's what we really need to be looking at. I definitely am looking that way, in the next few years. And I'm so glad, I'm grateful for this conversation, really, because I see a lot of resources in the comments. And if you have resources, this is what it's about. It's about each one, teach one. As One Divided We Fall said, NVIDIA is a free program designed to help startups evolve faster through cutting edge technology opportunities to connect with venture capitalists and access to the latest technical resources. Y'all, if you guys don't know how to write a proposal for a grant, guess what does? ChatGPT, AI. You don't have to know how to do it. There's resources out there. You can get this money. I promise you. And then Mackie Samuel says, TMC, and we need more of our kids going into farming and agriculture. Some HBCUs even receive full scholarships from the USDA for students that student agriculture, NCAT, and Prairie View. And so these resources are important to know and understand. It goes back to, if you don't know, you don't know. And you don't know that a lot of people don't know. So you giving that information, you just gave a whole lot of people information that they didn't even know. So thank you, and continue to share the wealth. Now, Athena, what are your last thoughts, and where can they find you?
Last thoughts are this, y'all. We live in Scamerica, okay? We have to take the responsibility to de-scam ourselves on our own. We gave a lot of solutions today. Word of the day is Scamerica. And I want us to focus on 3 important things: our shelter, our food, and our money. And with money, you need to play that wealth game. You need to put your energy and resources into things that are going to pay you back, or else you will always forever be working. And with AI and the way technology is moving, you may not even be able to work. Universal income is a topic that has been brought up several times and have people out here scared. But if you want to be amongst people, a group, especially if you're a woman, of really advancing yourself economically to create a wealthy life that you deserve by learning how to manage your finances and resources, then you can find me at wewealthwomen.com, at wewealthwomen on all social media platforms, and listen to me on my podcast, We Wealth Women podcast, you definitely are going to want to be plugged in, because the next few things I have come down the line is going to help secure us.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Athena. And I'm going to say this. You guys don't even know how much I love Black people. I dedicate my life to loving Black people and wanting to help Black people. And so conversations like this are so important, because what does the Bible say? We die from a lack of knowledge. We don't understand. We don't have vision. We don't have a lot of information. And so when we have these dialogues, it's so important that we take them back to our communities and we share them so that things can change. When I was in high school, I was the president of the BSU, and my goal was to close the grade gap, because we had a D- average GPA in my school district. And so now I'm on to bigger and better things, and that's closing the wealth gap. Like, we really don't have to be on the bottom of everything. We didn't get here by ourselves. I understand that, but we don't have to stay here. They are working overtime politically to keep us down, to keep us suppressed, to keep us depressed. They are working overtime. And the more we come up, remember, J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest threat in America was Negro unity. So once we unify, we train our minds, we change our mindset, we wake up and we're intentional about the things we do, about receiving knowledge, about understanding the information that's out there, about studying. Google University. I got a PhD, a public high school diploma. I learned a lot of my information on Google University because I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. The information is out there. So if you want the knowledge, it's right at your fingertips. We can get past all this bullshit, and we can come together and we can do better. Again, I love Black people. So one of the things I do is I help Black women specifically. I teach them all of these things, but I teach them how to increase their net worth to over 7 figures. I was able to do that by real estate. I was able to do that by investing in cannabis. I was able to do that by writing books. I was able to do that in many different ways in investing in myself. I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars because I got a PhD. But it's important that if we teach Black women, for me at least, that Black women are going to teach everybody else everything else that we need to know, and that wealth gap is going to be closed. So you can follow me on everything, and I am Constance Carter's right there. I am Constance Carter. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Facebook. If you're interested in joining my program called the Net 7 Collective, where I'm working with Black women from all over the country, and y'all, they are everything from Harvard PhDs. Look, your girl with a PhD, public high school diploma. I'm coaching PhDs. I'm coaching regular women with 9 to 5. I have attorneys in my group. I have some of everybody, and they all come together, and nobody is more important than the other. We're all sharing information, and we're pouring into each other, because that's what we need as Black women. We need an environment where we can do that. You can reach out to me on my website, ConstanceCarter.com. I love you guys. And again, we got to continue to have these conversations at the dinner table and everywhere else. Okay. Thank you all for being with us. Lala, Athena, you guys are amazing, dope women who with just brilliant minds. And the conversation was so rich today, as a lot of the people said. Thank you for joining us. This is the Fly Nubian Queen. We appreciate you. Subscribe to our channel and make sure you text the words Queens to 87948 to receive all the latest information. And if you want to get your money right now, money tight, go to flynubianmoney.com. This is Fly Nubian Money, not Fly Nubian Queens. Thank you and peace out. Oh, yeah. Brought to you by the word of the day, Scamerica by Athena Gardner.